This tutorial will describe the configuration and basic usage of Corelyzer. This demonstration is on a Mac, but the same principles will all apply on Windows as well. So let's launch Corelyzer from our dock here. If this is the first time that Corelyzer has run on your computer, the first thing you'll see is this Preferences dialog. All the defaults should be fine. I just want to point out quickly the Displays tab here. If you have a single display, Corelyzer should automatically gather all the information it needs. The values in the screen width and height fields should correspond to the current resolution of your main display. Corelyzer can also run on multiple monitors or displays. Configuring Corelyzer for a multi-display setup will be discussed in a separate tutorial. So if you just have a single screen, all these defaults should be fine, and you should be able to hit OK, and Corelyzer will complete launching. And when it's finished, you should see something like this. Corelyzer has three main user interface elements. The visualization canvas, this black background area here, this is where core imagery and data will be displayed. Next is the session window, which includes the main application menu bar, so all of these menu options here. And when a session is loaded, it will display that session's images and data. And finally, the toolbar, which contains frequently used controls. So I will open a simple session file just so we have some data to work with here. This session consists of 2 tracks with 2 sections each. So first, we'll look at the most important controls in the toolbar. On the left are 5 mode buttons. 99% of the time, you'll want to be in normal mode, this one on the far left, which allows you to freely pan and zoom around the visualization canvas. We'll ignore the other modes for now. Some other options of interest are, you can see as we mouse around, there's a crosshair always at the mouse pointer. If you don't like that, you can change to a regular cursor here, and now you just have a regular mousing arrow. Or you can change back to the crosshair mode by clicking the other button in this little group. If the session window is getting in your way, if you're kind of wanting for space, you can hide that by clicking this button, so you can see more of the canvas. You can just restore it by clicking again. And then finally, Corelyzer by default will try to take up all of the screen basically, which will obscure any other applications you might have. To minimize it and get it out of the way, you can use this button here. And if you do that, now you can see your desktop. And to restore it, you just go down to your dock or taskbar on Windows and click the Corelyzer icon, and everything should just come back. And finally, this button will quit Corelyzer. If you were to quit that, so you could do that. You could also just go to File and Quit. So there are a few ways to quit the application. So that's the toolbar. Next, we'll talk about the visualization canvas. Working with the canvas is pretty simple. If I hold down my mouse button here and drag, it pans the view around. And to zoom, I'm using a gesture on my trackpad here, the scrolling gesture. You could use a scroll wheel, or any other sort of zoom gesture. I believe a pinch gesture will work on most modern Macs as well, sort of a mobile style pinch to zoom. That should work as well. So anyway, there should be a variety of ways to zoom the canvas, and then dragging will pan the canvas. So that's how you move things around there. And finally, the session window lists the currently loaded sessions. So we just have one session right now, this GLAD 4 session. The tracks that session contains, so I have 2 tracks, and each of those tracks contains 2 sections. So this first track contains 1A2 and 1A3. You can see as I click these, they're also being highlighted on the canvas. Do the same for the other track here. This session also contains 1 data file, and then this lists the available fields to plot in that data file. So that is the gist of the session window. Now let's briefly return to the Preferences dialog and look at a few more settings you might find useful. So to open the Preferences dialog, which is what we saw on startup the very first time we launched Corelyzer, you go to the Edit menu, choose Preferences, And there it is, should look familiar. I just want to show a few of these user interface options. One of them, actually I need to cancel out so you can see the origin here. So if you want to know where the origin is, if you want a visual identifier of that, you can check this box and it will show this red and yellow crosshair just to indicate what is depth 0. You can change from horizontal depth mode to vertical depth mode, so this will flip everything 90 degrees. So now up and down represent depth, whereas in horizontal depth mode, of course, left and right represent depth. You could change the canvas background color if you want to. I haven't done this for a while. Let's see if it actually works. So you could choose this wonderful fuchsia color. If you want to make that choice, you go right ahead. I'm going to go back to black. There we go. Okay, back to black. And finally, if you would like to have something beyond just the depth scale markers here, you could have a grid that persists across the entire screen. So I could set up a grid and space it at every, let's say, every 20 centimeters. I do this, now I have a grid which shows the depth scale everywhere, effectively. So those are a few options in preferences that you might find useful. I am not a huge fan of the grid, so I'm going to disable it. And don't be afraid to experiment with the other options here. So those are the very basics of launching Corelyzer for the first time, getting your screen configured. All the defaults generally should just work and you should be able to just click OK. The basics of just what the session window does, what the visualization canvas does and shows you, and then the toolbar as well. Other tutorials will demonstrate loading core images, positioning and manipulating those core images, loading and plotting data, and managing sessions and sharing your Corelyzer projects with others.